Today I'm going to be speaking on how organizations or clubs infiltrate law enforcement and military. I first took notice on this when I went through boot camp and I noticed a few recruits were actually tattooed with certain neighborhoods that were were actually affiliated with gangs, street gangs. So with time, I was assigned to certain ports also, and I got to know a few coworkers that actually were part of a motorcycle club. And these motorcycle clubs, some of them had actual history of running illegal activities. I never saw them with their colors while they rode, but they did ride bikes, and they openly talked about their weekend trips and or rides. So with time, I learned that it was not against the law to actually be a gang member. What it is against the law is to participate in their illegal activities. Oh, as long as you don't conspire or actually contribute or actually conduct any kind of illegal activity, you should be fined for the fact that it was not illegal to be a gang member. And also on that subject itself, uh, on clearing a background check, especially with being Hispanic out of California, you have to become, I guess, you have to adapt the fact that you might have some illegal family members in the country. And there's when you have to have that uncomfortable conversation with your parents when you're about to clear a background check through the federal government because they will reach out to your immediate family and they will also check their legal status and check for criminal activity from your immediate family. So I asked my parents, like straight up, is everybody on the go? Is everybody up in the up and up? For the fact that if something comes up that's not on the up and up, that can disqualify me and conduct problems for the person in question. So I had that talk with my parents, and they okayed that we were fine and everything. And so from that point, you want to think and you want to hope that everything is the way it should be and everybody is who they are, actually. And as time progressed, I started to find out that certain coworkers were actually taken off the line due to the fact that they had family members that were illegal in the country, or they knew about family members that were illegal in the country, and also uh, one of them was actually married to an illegal. And she had an interesting story because at a young age, she was brought from Mexico to the US and was given an identity as she went to school, was employed, went to college, and eventually married my friend that was a Border Patrol agent. Well, in one of his checks, his background checks, because you have multiple throughout your career, especially if you're going to be dealing with higher clearance, security clearance. That's when they dig a little bit deeper into you. And it turns out that his wife of a few years was at illegal status here in the U.S. And I'm going to think that she was telling the truth, that she had no idea what was going on, and she had a very good excuse too. Well, not excuse, but she had a very good point when she brought up, actually, is that when she was young in her teenage years, her and her friends would go party in TJ, and she would cross the border just with the high school or a college ID. That's all you needed. And so for and so for her to say I crossed frequently, she is correct. She is right, because that's all we required was a photo ID, even if it was from your high school, if you were a minor or in your late teens. And so that there disqualified my friend from being a border patrol agent, and he was put on an administrative leave. And it took for him a couple of years to actually reapply to the border patrol, and was denied employment. He ended up applying for another agency, and he got hired on. So he got taken care of. But that's just one of the things that you honestly don't know exactly if it's if who your friends are, or your coworkers, or your classmates are really who they are, due to the fact that they themselves don't know that it's really them. And it's kind of sad and kind of scary, because if you do know that you don't have any legal status, basically you're gonna be limited to when you go out in the streets, because you're always going to be worried about making contact with law enforcement and them turning you in about your legal status. And I remember one situation where we were working the actual. It was just a checkpoint. It wasn't the border. It was just a checkpoint in one of the highways, and this group of young kids went out for to hike some kind of river fall. They went on a hike, and they happened to cross over a checkpoint. Of course, you have when on the way back, you have to actually stop at that checkpoint for your immigration status, or if you bring any kind of contraband through the highway. And this particular female um, started crying because she was embarrassed of not having legal papers, and she didn't want to tell her friends that she was in the country legal. But now she's at a checkpoint with no legal status on her, and so that was kind of rough for her. She was crying, and it's sad that people have to live like that, and it happens. People have to live in that fear daily. But that's just one of the setbacks of being here in a country illegally, where your freedom is very, very limited. And so that's just a little tidbit on actual how uh, certain groups or organizations infiltrate law enforcement, and some of the backdraws of being brought to the United States as a kid with illegal status. So don't forget to subscribe and to thumbs up on the video. Thank you.